Hi and welcome to The Winning Factor. I'm Alan Aitken, and on this show each week we take a look at some upcoming races in Hong Kong and try to analyse a particular angle to the race we might see as a path to finding the winner. Well, we're down to meeting 88 for the season, the final one, and really the only thing left to play for, apart from backing a winner, is the Jockeys Championship. And Joao Moreira and Zach Purton go into the final day locked on 132 wins. So that's going to be one of our highlights on Saturday, but I hope we're going to find a winner along the way as well. The first race we're going to have a look at is race 7, where our winning factor is the trainer. Now this is a fairly open sort of class 3, garden variety class 3 if you like, with plenty of chances, and not a race I think that features horses really going anywhere. They're just the kind of standard handy horses awaiting their turn to win, but someone has to win, and there will be fans of a number of the runners, including Lucky Fun, Super Dynamite, Beauty Mission, and the pair that I want to look at closest, Carrying Excellent and Red Titan. So just as a quick detour before we get into this, one of the things I like to do towards the end of each season is take a look back at the campaign and the trainers and jockeys who have done well without necessarily being the ones that pile up the winners. That's what the championships are for. But we do have other riders and trainers who perform well when you measure them against the betting market, and they're always a bit more interesting to follow as punters. So I'm going to take a look now at this season's tables for the trainers and jockeys. And first of all, the trainers. Now, it actually looks a lot like the actual Trainers' Championship here, with Frankie Law and John Size well ahead of the market at the top of the list here, as these trainers are ranked against their performance versus the market. Now, people sometimes ask me what's the point of putting this up and seeing who offered better value in a season that is all but over. But what I've done here is I've highlighted the trainers here who also appeared on this top list last season, and Law, Size, Francis Loy, Richard Gibson and Benno Jung also took up half the spots on that list. So these figures do serve as something going ahead for your punting when we begin next season. Likewise, amongst the jockeys, there are riders who outperform the market expectations, even if they aren't the ones fighting out the championship. And in fact, this table for the jockeys doesn't look anything like the Jockeys Championship table, but there are consistencies again from last year to this year. And highlighted are the riders who outperformed the odds last season and again this season. So returning to our race 7 on Saturday, and the horses that I'm zeroing in on are Carrying Excellent, trained by Benno Jung, and one trained by his old boss, John Size. First of all, let's take a look at race 759, and this is Carrying Excellent. He's in light blue with a yellow cap. Begins well here and is immediately on the pace but a bit wide. So his rider Harry Bentley steadies behind in what is quite a decent lead pace. And really there are no complaints with the trip that this horse gets, Carrying Excellent. He gets a nice spot. Everything is there to suit. Issues his challenge in the home straight, and when all is said and done, races well, but isn't quite good enough, beating all but the winner. 6 days later, we saw Red Titan's most recent offering. And he's here in gate 14, dark blue colours for Alexi Bedell. And this is quite a nice bit of riding by Bedell. The horse jumps well, but there are faster ones under him. And Bedell takes a pull, drops back and over behind the lead horses and gets the horse in too wide from that nasty gate. So a good bit of riding. On the heat map, you see there is some up and down in the tempo during the race. Not severe. Maybe it wasn't his perfect race pan, but I still think he had his chance. In the straight, he issues a bid, but has to make do with a sound fourth. Now, both of those horses had their chances and raced well without being able to win, and I think they'll get their chance in an open contest on Saturday. When we take a look at the map, drawn better this time, Red Titan should again find a nice spot behind the pace, and that pace should be pretty generous here with speedy horses like Highly Proactive and Flying Bonus in the race. And I think Carrying Excellent, once again, he'll be trailing the speed, possibly just in front of Red Titan in the run. But for me, the tip in race 7, Carrying Excellent, his winning factor, the trainer. Now, Benno Jung is not one of the trainers that you'll read about racking up wins at the top of the premiership, and the Group 1s are a little bit beyond his reach. However, we've seen on the table there that he outperforms the market. He does it quite often, and he's certainly a trainer worth giving a second look whenever you see one of his horses and think it's got a chance in a race. So Carrying Excellent gives him a great chance to round out his season with a win on the final day. The other race I want to take a look at is the final race of the season. It's race 11, and our winning factor here, the Going. And discussions on this Class 3 are going to centre around horses like Secret Vision and Powerful Wings, who recently fought out the finish of a similar race. Let's Do It backs up from a very solid run in Class 4 last week and rises in class but gets the big weight drop. But mostly discussions are going to be around the very promising 3-year-old from the John Size Yard, Turkel. And I think most will look at this race as being a case of whether we get the right Turkel. So I'm going to show you his last 2 starts, and first we're going to go back to his Class 4 win 2 runs ago. And this is race 758. He's in light blue and white colours, and Turkel jumps well from near the inside. Zach Purton parks him off a speed which is quite solid in the second section, and that pace does soften up the leaders ahead of him, and Turkel gets a perfect trip. In the straight, Purton angles him clear, asks him to go, and Turkel comes away to win with some comfort to confirm what a promising horse he is. Nevertheless, there were a few challenges for him at his next start when he rose to Class 3, took on 1600 metres for the first time, and also a wet track. So let's take a look at that performance. And Turkel again drew low. Purton has him up handy, trailing the leading group but fairly soon after the start. Now, on this day, the track was wet. The leaders were in a hurry all afternoon and setting a fast early tempo. So there was always pressure on towards the front of races during the day. This race was no different. Also worth noting is that the preferred ground in the home straight was away from the inside rail later in the card, and Turkel, by virtue of that inside draw, is stuck closer to the inside rail. Purton angles him out, and he's still forced to make his bid in what was probably inferior ground. The first and second horses get out wide on the track, and although Turkel tries manfully, he's overhauled and finishes in third as favourite. So basically the question we're asking ourselves going into Saturday's race is what stopped the good thing that day? Was it the wet? Was it the rise to Class 3? Was it the 1600 metres for the first time? Or was it some combination of all three? And bear in mind that this time he's not going to strike a wet track. He is still taking on Class 3, and he does also take on a mile. So 2 of those possibles are still in play. When we take a look at the map, well, he isn't drawn quite as cosily as the last 2 starts, but we have Super Winner in the race, usually a guide to a worthwhile tempo as he goes to the front and likes to run along. And I think Purton on Turkel will be looking for a place for his mount off the pace, perhaps with some cover 2 or 3 wide, that allows him to keep his energy to run on this time and finish the race off. So the tip in race 11, Turkel, his winning factor, the Going. Yes, there are other possibilities as to why he didn't win last start when most expected him to, but I think it was the ground. I think he'll get better surface on Saturday. And of course, Zach Purton aboard. Well, this is the last race of the season. Maybe the Jockeys Championship will be all over by then. Maybe this will be the one that pushes him over the edge. Either way, Turkel is a promising horse. I think back on firm ground, he should make amends. Well, that's it from the winning factor for this week and for this season. I hope we've helped you along the way, maybe informed you a little bit. We'll see you next season.